Welcome back to Side by Side Plays. I'm Shikuquaza.
I'm Waifu.
Why are you loitering here? Who are you? My dear fellow, do you not recognize a world-famous great detective when you see one? The question really ought to be, who are you? What you got on your arm there, buddy? Do you not recognize world-traveling great sailor Chicken Stroganoff, you see? Great detective. Ha, I don't think so. Do you see that, Mikotoba? It would appear that this man is a devoted follower of mine. It is me. Is that a tattoo that says Sholmes? I must say, whilst such adoration is flattering naturally, it does leave me a little cold. Brr, I say. What are you talking about? Leave now. How distressing. My loyal devotee knows me only by name and not by appearance. And yet I already know a great deal about you, sir. You have a brother, I believe. Like yourself, he's a shipman. Currently traveling the world aboard a Russian steamship, in fact. How could you know this? Elementary, my dear Mikotoba. I'm sure it was. 3 days ago, I was bound for London aboard this ship, you see. We're looking for one of my fellow passengers, a man by the name of Jikoku. There is no one with this name on board. But we know that he purchased a ticket for passage. Ah, you mean Eastern man. He left ship 2 hours ago. Here at Dunkirk. He said something about emergency, I think. But are you sure? So Seishiro's realized that we're after him, has he? His cabin is the one behind you. We should like to investigate, please. No, I have orders not to let even mouse inside. Perhaps we should investigate to make sure there isn't a mouse inside. Let's go. Mikotoba, be a good man and draw the sailor's attention away, would you? Make up some excuse so that he leaves the area. Doesn't the great detective see that even sailors have ears, both left and right? Curses! Ah, the plan is ruined! Ruined! And you have only yourself to blame, I'm afraid, Sholmes. Forget it, cabin door is locked. I ate the key. Even the
So we have 6 hours until you have to go to the bathroom.
No, we have half an hour until the ship leaves and the court case resumes.
Well, if he ate the key, we gotta wait until he finishes.
Or we kill him and open up his guts. You're forgetting the obvious choice.
We tie him up.
Wait, no.
And we shove our fingers down his throat.
No.
Induce...
Even if I am not here, you cannot get inside. Door is locked and I have eaten key. Mikotoba. I'm sure you haven't forgotten my special talent, have you?
Opening any lock?
Within a mere 5 seconds. So if you'd be so kind as to afford me the requisite time, old friend, in your typically accommodating manner. How could I refuse such a typically unappealing request, old friend? So I need to distract that burly sailor for 5 seconds, do I? Hey, look over here. For 5 seconds. Why? That's enough time. That's literally enough time right there. Hey, look, a mouse. This must be a mousetrap, I think. Perhaps I could distract the crewman's attention with this somehow. Ow. That sounds like Big Mouse in Trap.
Choo.
I will bring bucket of water. I will bring bucket of water later and put out of misery. don't like the sound of that. In any case, my dear fellow, that was quite unconvincing. Only Japanese mice make a chew sound. Oh, really, Sholmes? And play your tale, what do Russian mice say? What sound do Russian mice make? PP, naturally. Though also quite unconvincingly, I readily admit. So go ahead, Mikotoba. Do a PP this time. No, thank you. I'm sure I can come up with an alternative solution. What if I just rang the alarm? This would appear to be an alarm
What if
bell.
you just punch him in the face?
It's only 5 seconds. All hell would break loose if that thing were to ring. The whole crew would know about it. Here goes, then. Pardon me in advance. Yo, what are you doing? If we were at sea, that would be a very bad problem. What's going on down there? Seaman Stroganoff! Ew! Report at once! Sorry, sir, nothing to report. It was just a stupid trick. No, not by me, by world famous. No, as I told you. Now, Sholmes, now! All done! Not even 5 seconds, eh? Well, don't just stand there gawping at my brilliance, Mikotoba. In we go! Oh, yes. Good gracious. It would appear that the occupant of this cabin did indeed disembark rather hurriedly. Those clothes on the floor there. They're Seishiro's, without question. Well, it seems we are just a little too late. Yes, by about 2 hours. Still, whilst we're here, we should investigate thoroughly. There may well be 2 hours worth of clues to find in here. But that burly crewman may return at any moment, Sholmes. That was wrong person. Indeed he may, which makes this all the more thrilling. Ice water. Ice, ice, baby. Quite the exquisite glass, I must say. See here how it's... See here how it's...
There's something wrong, Sholmes. You seem to have traveled off.
Ice, Mikotoba, ice, baby. What opulence. The first-class passengers enjoy chilled drinks. Pardon? Could it be that this steamship is equipped with an electrically refrigerated cold room, do you think? Well, it is a luxury liner after all. Now we're getting to the point of the game where Sholmes is actually smart. They have enormous refrigerators for storing all sorts of lavish produces. Oh! Just suddenly realizes all at once. On a voyage from Japan, we enjoyed culinary delights from all over the world. Suddenly, Mikotoba. The sight of you is making my mouth water. What the fuck?
I'm not here, Sholmes.
Mr. Sholmes. I haven't taken on the flavor of the food I ate, you know. That's a very sizable dumpy and sea, indeed. Seishiro is partial to all things large. And a rather clumsy fellow if he failed to notice he'd left all that behind. Perhaps he left it on purpose. It's lighter than you might think, but still a hindrance to a speedy escape. Pity. It's locked, so we can't look inside. Surely 5 seconds from now, the situation will be quite different, though. Sadly not. It is a 7-digit combination lock. And I'm not in a morose enough mood to work through all the combinations at present.
He'd be willing to do it if he was depressed enough, is what he said there. These are the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden, including snakes, it says in bold text. Additionally, there are severe punishments for stowing away in wardrobes and or travel cases. I feel the real rules have increased since last I read them. Probably just my imagination. What about the fact that they're not straight on the wall? Doesn't that strike you? You may be right. Probably just your imagination, though. A trifle. And you know what I always say, Mikotoba. There is nothing important about trifles. It's probably just my imagination, but I think that might be slightly off. According to the report I was given, Naruhodo was concealing himself in Asogi's wardrobe. Indeed he was, and it was of a similar size to this one. Ah, you must climb inside yourself, my dear fellow. Whatever for? It was the site of my first fateful meeting with Mr. Naruhodo. You can experience the moment for yourself now, complete with my dramatic rhetoric. Come along now, in you go. This will only take a moment. No, stop. Stop pushing me. Really, Sheldon, surely you can just tell me what you said. But that's no fun. Well, I uttered some brilliant remark and opened the wardrobe to reveal the stowaway murderer. I think I'll just read about it in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. There's a speaking tube here, look, though it's been stoppered with some cloth. So the voices of the crewmen on the bridge aren't an annoyance, I suppose. Or indeed so that the voices in this cabin aren't heard elsewhere. Could something have happened in here that was for no one else's ears, do you think? Either that, or it could be to prevent snakes from entering. That's really become a favorite case of yours, hasn't it? Plenty of reading material to keep passengers occupied on the long sea voyages. I found the mixture of classic literature and easy reading to be most satisfactory, I must say. Whoever stocked this bookcase was a hopeless heretic. There's no copy of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, my dear fellows. I'm afraid it's just me, but no, you're quite right. More blasphemous than overlooking the Bible. I shall leave a copy behind. I just happen to have one with me. You're a true missionary of the Church of Great Detectives, aren't you? I always have one on my person at all times.
How do you think these get around without for Ira?
Yeah, he just leaves them places. This is the waste paper basket. Look, and there's still rubbish inside. Indeed? Then let us pry. I've discovered recently I have a penchant for exploring the contents of others' waste paper baskets. I sincerely hope only for your work. Ah! Here we have a notice issued to passengers from 3 days ago. 3 days ago? The night before we arrived in London, then. When I was still abroad myself. Ah, yes, there was an evacuation drill. I remember now. For our safety and security, all first-class passengers were constantly under the watchful eye of the crew. So it was a welcome relief to have some privacy for once. Okay. The wall is a slightly different color just here. Do you see? Indeed. What you have observed arises when a frame that has been hanging for some time is removed. Perhaps your friend is an art thief. Now there's a bold deduction worthy of a great detective, I'm sure. He may very well be the elusive thief who's been plaguing France's galleries of late. I think perhaps we should focus our attentions elsewhere, Sholmes, don't you? That outline on the wall. feel as though I might have spotted something of a similar shape and size elsewhere, literally on the same fucking screen. Hello! You are still here! Ah, Able Seaman Stroganoff. Hello again.
Who would ever put that in their stroganoff? I was beginning to think you'd never materialize.
You are waiting for me?
Of course, I was expecting you to burst in with a hearty Russian profanity far sooner.
I was in trouble with Captain because of trick you played before.
Poor innocent chicken.
It is all your fault. Ship is leaving port soon. Get off, now.
Of course we shall disembark presently, my dear fellow, but first, there is something that must be done.
What are you talking about?
Why, naturally, the debunking of your deceit and the barring of the truth.
Kayo... What? Kakoi!
I'm afraid I see through your lies. For one thing, Mr. Shikuquaza has not yet left this vessel at all.
Yeah, I already figured it out.
And for another, my dear Miss Seaman Stroganoff, you know exactly where the man is even as we speak, don't you?
How can you... Gracious shows. Wait, you've worked it out? All of it?
Not all of it. But I've worked out that he took his clothes out of his trunk and jumped inside. That was really easy. It really has been too long, hasn't it, old friend? 10 years, no less. So, would you care to join me for a dance of my inimitable logic and reasoning?
Nothing would please me more. What is this? Oh.
Ryanosuke gets a sense. I feel like someone is doing my thing with Sholmes.
We have but minutes until the vessel puts to sea. No games now. Time is of the essence. Mr. Stroganoff, allow me to remind you of your earlier claim. You told us that Jikoku left the ship some 2 hours ago.
That is what I said.
Sadly, that was a rather clumsy lie. You see, there is something in this room that quite clearly contradicts it.
What? Ah, yes, of course.
I see you've noted it too, Mikotoba. Then please do take the lead. What in this cabin shows the impossibility of Jikoku having disembarked 2 hours ago? Let's see what the last 3 years have done to your observational skills then, Mikotoba.
It's been 10 years since we last did this, Sholmes, not 3.
Why, of course it has, quite. Now, all the clues are here in this cabin for your eyes to see. But as I always say, you must not merely look, but observe. Observe and the answers become clear. So, impress me!
I think I can manage that.
Take that!
Oh, he dancing. Perhaps you should have cleared away that glass.
How curious that the ice shouldn't have melted despite it being abandoned 2 hours ago.
Ugh.
It would appear that the man was here in this very cabin until moments before our arrival. With his well-chilled glass in hand.
Get your mind off the refreshments, Sholmes.
One might even conclude that somebody informed him of our boarding. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Stroganoff?
But why would you say she would run from us?
Before we consider that question, allow me to confirm one small matter. Would I be correct in saying that these first-class cabins of the SS Bruce are the same ones in which you and Mr. Jikoku were accommodated on your voyage from Japan.
Oh, that's right, they are. I was in the cabin next door, and Seishiro was, yes, 50 days in this very cabin during our voyages.
As I suspected, for you see, there are traces in this cabin of a dark secret that Mr. Jikoku had to hide.
His porn.
What traces? I know nothing about this.
Ah, this is news to you, is it, Mr. Stroganov?
Sholmes, what exactly are you getting at?
As I said, there are traces in this cabin of some nefarious activity. Something that appears out of place, which I'm quite sure you won't have escaped your notice.
Something out of place in here. That's the key to this, Pikachu. The remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked by something quite incongruous.
I must say I didn't foresee ever doing this dance of deduction with you again, Mikoto.
No, quite. But life is full of unexpected twists and turns, as we well know. Now then, let's see if I can't uncover the truth here.
Yes, you have the floor, my dear fellow.
Yeah, now I see why Sholmes' deductions were always so off, because he relied on he started the sentence for Mikotoba to end it.
Take that!
It's the rules of passage in this frame here. They're obviously out of place. The way they're hanging crooked on the wall, as if they were put there in a hurry.
Yes, as I'm sure you've already concluded, that frame was originally over here. The shape and size are a perfect match.
You're right. We did frame move.
Hardly the most observant of crewmen, are you, Mr. Stroganov? I would think your captain is quite justified in having his reservations about your reliability.
Oh dear, that scene really seems to have touched a nerve.
So, Mikotoba, why don't you lift that frame off the wall? A hole.
That looks like a bullet hole. What? Who has been shooting walls?
I see, the projectile has been removed. Clearly the careful occupant of this room has already disposed of it. Now then, Mr. Stroganov. I have the distinct impression that you are attempting to shield said occupant.
I do not know what you are talking about. Why would I try to protect Eastern Stranger?
Ah, so we're talking about the same man, I see. Good. I never said what nationality he was. I'm sure we can get to the bottom of this in no time, aren't you? Because there's some very noteworthy evidence that explains the reason why you're lying for the man. Yes, you've been told to keep this pretense, as clearly shown by...
I really don't know how to approach this one, Sholmes.
Ah, my dear Mikotoba, simply keep first principles in mind. Study your subject from every angle, and I'm quite sure you'll see it. In fact, I'd put a wager on it. In fact, I'm going to save real quick, just because the game gave me the opportunity to. Hooray!
Saving. Okay.
So I'm to glare at the fellow from all sides. Well, I can certainly do that. What you got there? Oh, it won't let me look at.
Take that!
It's almost too obvious for words.
What? The universal language of the world. Money.
I'd wager that the eastern fellow in question is Seishiro Jikoku, yes? Ugh. So I presume you realize what this means. There are clear signs that a crime has been committed in this cavern. And the way you're going, sir, you'll find yourself accused of being an accomplice. But... I believe you know, Mr. Stroganov. You know where Mr. Shikoku is hiding at this precise moment in time. Why would you look there, you dumbass? As always, Ms. Kotoba, in matters of deduction, the furtive glance is your unfaltering ally. Yes, I think you're onto something there, Sholmes. You found the chink in this pearly fellow's armor. We need only follow the man's gaze to know where our prey is hiding. Slightest flicker of the pupils, a minutely delayed blink. Nothing escapes my attention, which is what, even that which is barely perceptible. You could hardly call this barely perceptible, Sholmes. The man's turned his entire head. It's not exactly what you describe as a furtive glance, is it? It's almost too obvious. We shall let your tapping toes decide, my dear fellow. Where could he be?
Take that!
You turned immediately to look at this large dumpy, didn't you? Duh! The truth is, Seishiro Jikoku was unable to escape from the ship in time, and he is, at this very moment, doing his best to stifle his breath inside this trunk. If he still has breath to take, I fear he may be running dangerously low on air. I imagine he didn't count on us making a nuisance of ourselves for quite so long. I think it would be in everyone's best interest for us to open the trunk as quickly as possible. But how can we? Are you forgetting about the combination lock? We don't know the 7-digit code. Combination lock can be opened from inside the trunk. Therefore, there must have been an arrangement for somebody to open it after our departure. Of course. In short, before Jikoku had himself inside that trunk, he must have told somebody the 7-digit number for the lock. As I'm sure you can confirm, Mr. Stroganov.
No, I know nothing about combination code, even though it is written on my arm.
Don't move a muscle, my good seaman.
Huh? How you do that?
Now, Mikotoba, would you do the honors and open the trunk? 5, 2, 3, 1, 0, 4, 5. What do you expect me? It's a 7-digit number, remember? Quickly now, we have little time. Oh, jeez. 5, 2... Five, 2, 3, 1045. Yep, that's it.
Take that!
Hooray! That did it. It's open.
You had to meddle, didn't you?
Oh.
Well, Eugen, you found me now.
Seishiro. I was really hoping beyond hope not to find you here, you know.
But you're not entirely unsurprised, I take it.
No, quite. I just wish it were some other way. Well, are you ever going to introduce me?
Ah, your reputation precedes you, Mr. Sholmes. I've read stories of many of your exploits.
Excuse my manners, Sholmes. This is Mr. Jikoku, my old friend and traveling companion.
The devil is in the details, Mikotoba. I believe you meant to say your old friend and traveling companion. That's what I said, yes. Who made the cowardly decision to flee the country without a word to anyone when things turned sour.
I see my reputation precedes me as well. What an honor.
Well, Seishiro, are you going to explain all this?
You know it all by now, I imagine. What you didn't know, of course, is that 3 days ago, on the night before our arrival in Britain, an attempt was made on my life here on this very ship.
By the Reaper of the Bailey. Yes, I've since heard. Because you were once prosecuted by the Reaper, weren't you? 10 years ago now, mind you.
I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. Anyway, when we arrived in London to find the symposium was postponed until goodness knows when, it became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again.
So you decided to flee the capital without saying a word to me about it?
I'm afraid so, yes. Of course, I realize now that I really ought to have confided in you.
It's somewhat surprising, I must say.
What is?
Well, first-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are in very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available.
So says the protagonist of some colorful short stories. Well, I don't care for your opinion. The cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased a ticket, and here I am.
I've just seen for myself the obvious remnants of that incident in this cabin. So you'd already purchased your return ticket before we even docked in Dover, had you? To prevent anyone else from taking this cabin and seeing the evidence, is that it?
I have nothing to say to you.
Well, in a mere 5 minutes, this ship will set off on its onward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid we must insist that you disembark with us at once.
You have no jurisdiction over my movements. We have this, Seishiro. Take it. What is it?
It's a subpoena from the Old Bailey. You're a man of the law. You know what the ramifications of ignoring a document like this from the British courts would be.
You came prepared then, Eugene. Come on, let's go.
One moment!
What is it, Sholmes?
Inside Mr. Shikuqua's dumpy, I found this rather fascinating trinket.
What is that? Seishiro? I can't help you, I'm afraid. Some small component from something. But what, I have no idea.
By the look on his face, I think he genuinely doesn't know. Well, let us pocket it as a small souvenir of our brief sojourn in France. Well, young Naruto, I think we've done as much as we can, I'm afraid. The rest will be on the shoulders of you and your assistant.
You know, you can't just say my daughter.